Hello and welcome to DSLBD's District Capitalized Money Monday series. Today, May 24th, we're talking about creating a compelling case for funding via DSLBD's DC Kiva Hub. This is one in a series of interactive workshops to help DC businesses and DC residents strengthen their Kiva loan application. So when you put it online for a pitch, you'll have a successful crowd raising campaign. I'm Camille Nixon. I'm the DC Kiva Hub Access to Capital Manager, as well as project manager for DSLBD. I'll do some more introductions later. If you're not familiar with us, DSLBD, the Department of Small and Local Business Development, we're a DC government agency that supports the economic development and growth and retention of businesses in the district, as well as the economic corridor, development of the corridors in the district as well. One of our programs is District Capitalized. This is a coordinating program that through products, guidance, and the ecosystem of partners who support businesses through access to capital issues, that we coordinate that and provide products like the Kiva loan and guidance like this workshop. The next upcoming Monday is actually on Wednesday because of the holiday next week, 2 p.m. Business Photos. This is the second internet interactive workshop about your Kiva pitch. So please feel free to join us. And Shannon will share the link in the chat. And here's if you'd like to have updates about workshops like these, upcoming products, other tips, tricks as far as getting access to capital, please subscribe to us, our bit.ly/district capitalized alerts. We just send like 1 or 2 alerts a month. It's not that many. So now some official introductions. Again, I'm Camille Nixon, project manager and capital access manager for DSLBD, in particular for our team, the Innovation and Equitable Development Team, inno.ed. I always think I can compete in a budget creation competition if one should ever arise. I wasn't the strongest in managing money years ago, but because of that, I tried really hard to figure out how to get money, manage it well, and put it to good use. And I'm available to help you in many aspects, not just with Kiva, but also helping calculate your Kiva loan asks, having a compelling message. My favorite thing to do is help you figure out how to diversify your portfolio. You shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket as far as the sources of funds for your business. So these and other access to capital issues, I'd be happy to help you with at any time. I'd like to introduce, if my colleague Kate joined us, she might not have been able to know. So I'm going to turn to Shannon. Please unmute and introduce yourself, Shannon.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shannon Taylor. I am a member of the InnoEd team along with Camille. I specifically manage the Made in DC program. I'm the DC based brands coordinator. And then I do a lot of work for the division in extensive grant programs, our micro grant programs that we run. So I'm happy to be here and to support Camille today in this session. As she mentioned, I will be managing the chat. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to drop them in the chat. And I'll also make sure that all of the links and information that Camille sent, I will place those links in the chat as well for you to reference throughout the entire presentation. Thank you all for joining.
Thanks, Shannon. And now it's for your turn. Hello, everybody. If you could introduce yourself, who you are, your name, your business, or if you have a business idea that you're about to launch, and what you love about financials or pitching, or what makes you nervous about financials and pitching. And you can introduce yourself either in the chat or mute yourself and come in and say hello.
Hello, my name is Nathan Cabell. How's everyone doing today?
Well, how are you, Nathan? Thanks for joining us.
And thank you for bringing this wonderful service. It's a needed service for people like me, and I appreciate it. I try to take advantage of all the opportunities I can. And my business idea is on demand, safe, reliable, concierge transportation, round trip concierge transportation for seniors. Also with a wraparound service, computer literacy and social media, social internet media service for seniors. Um, well, I like to pitch because you never know who is in the audience when you're pitching, and you might, how you say, attract several venture capitalists that's interested in your idea and would like to partner with you. What makes me nervous about um, pitching? It's not that I don't, I can't speak in front of the audience. I do public speaking at my religious organization, but the practice is what I need to um, really be great at delivering my pitch for however little time that is needed to be pitched. So um, this is a great class. I'm also in We Aspire with Miss Carolyn, and I just like to take advantage of any opportunity that's come out of DSLBD. So that's me. Thank you very much for listening.
Thanks, Nathan. You hit a lot of things that I love your introduction, and you were very specific, concierge and round trip. That envisioned me taking another type of service where I have to figure out my way back home. So that's great. And you're right, practice makes perfect, or at least makes you comfortable. Part of the reason I'm doing this every week is because I am not excited about presenting. So this helps me get my presentation skills a little bit sharper. Thanks, Nathan. Who else would like to jump in and say hello?
Hello, my name is Michael Roach. I'm with Ambient Compost International. Um, I'm here today to just learn how to become a better with pitch. I'm kind of old fashioned, so this is kind of new to me, the way business is done these days. And as far as concerning financials, I have a pretty strong background in that, but making these pitches is kind of foreign to me, so I'm trying to get as much help as I can. Thank you.
Thanks, AC. I didn't quite catch everything. It might have been my connection. But it sounds like you were saying that you were new to financing, and this is a part of it. And there are other resources we'll share later that could help walk you through it. And maybe also if other people had trouble hearing you, maybe drop your information in the chat as well. Thanks, AC. Would anyone else like to introduce themselves by audio?
Yes, my name is Payang Vifang. I'm here today because I have been active with the DC cooperative, I guess, network movement. And I'm sorry?
Oh, keep going. That wasn't me. Please keep going.
Oh, okay. I thought somebody was asking a question. So at any rate, I've been very interested in really just learning more about the different financing options, mechanisms that may be available to small businesses, but of course also co-ops in DC. So this is why I'm here today. Thank you.
Thanks for joining. Just so you know, that was a question I had when I was being trained for Kiva. How will a co-op business group apply? So I'm getting to an answer for that. So hopefully I'll have one soon. Thank you. Anyone else would like to say hello before we get started?
Good afternoon on Misty Monday. My
Good
name is
afternoon.
Latrell Fitchett, and I'm the owner of Promoting Love and Wisdom Home Child Care Center. And I actually had to pivot my business because of the pandemic. And now I'm offering clothing and accessories. And I love pitching because it helps me to perfect my pitch. What I love about the financials is very beneficial to grow my business to the next level. What makes me nervous about the financials is not being able to obtain enough funding to service the children and families in one of the highest crime areas in DC, Ward 7. So that's what makes me nervous because I want to be able to provide a state of the art in Ward 7 because these children need it because they're faced with so much violence, traumatic experiences. And I started promoting Love and Wisdom Child Care in Ward 7 to help them heal and thrive and let them know that they can be the next President Obama or Dr. Maya Angelou, giving them a safe haven where they can feel comfortable and forget about their experiences in their environment to heal and thrive. So that's my purpose for providing these providing the platforms that I'm on speaking, trying to get funding. That's my purpose, because I know that if I can make a difference in one of these children's lives and put a smile on their face, then I did my job. So that's why I'm here today.
Thanks, Latrell. And you may find that what makes you nervous is actually your hook in your loan ask, because I think the urgency that you feel around your business model and the service providing those services is something that you could convey through your pitch. And I think that would resonate with a lot of lenders. And we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay, and I also want to invite you all. I'm having a sponsor event June 1st through the 7th, empowering women from someone that's working on a regular job all the way up to billionaires going to be on that platform. So I definitely would like to have you all plug in. And the event is $50. $25 is going for the STEM program for the children, and the other $25 will go for the nonprofit that I started for domestic violence.
All
And
right.
you'll get a T-shirt in one of my logo
Okay.
T-shirts.
Well, feel free to share a link in the chat if anyone's interested. Please connect with Latrell.
Okay,
So
thank you.
if you haven't already, please introduce yourself in the chat. I'm gonna continue with the presentation, and we have time at the end. We could do more introductions if we've missed you. So for today's session, we'll be focusing, as I mentioned at the top, about the loan use portion of your Kiva online pitch, and specifically around calculating how much to ask for your loan, what's allowed, how you can use those loans funds, and then the last two, the purpose statement and tagline. That's what the public sees. Kiva does as well, but that's what you're crafting both for Kiva and for your potential lenders to see and engage them. Also during the presentation, I'll touch upon just generally what the hub is, what Kiva's online pitch is and how you can repurpose that for others, and then how you integrate the whole thing together. And we'll end with ways to get inspiration for writing your loan ask, purpose and tagline, as well as where you can get more help and apply for Kiva crowdfunding loans. In your registration, thanks for those who register in advance. Here are the things that you ask to get, you hope to get out of this today's session that we're definitely covering, including how everything works, the tips, the coaching, potential funding sources. This is one of several. So we'll share throughout the presentation how you can connect with the Inno.ed team, myself and my colleagues like Shannon, talk about other funding sources. And how specifically to have a successful Kiva loan application that's being covered today. Some things that you asked for that we're not covering, but I'm sharing the links here. And when you get the slides, you'll be able to click on them and click through. We're not covering them here, but a lot of them are covered either through our dcbusinesstoolkit.com, which is an online portal that centralizes information from 150 plus agencies and service providers all in one place. So a lot of content's in there. And then also by meeting one-on-one with our team, the Inno.ed team, we'd be able to help you with some of these other questions like your business idea, financial backing. And we have a lot of different workshops, not just the Money Mondays. We have them most every day of the week now. So check us out at our eBrite registration, which is bit.ly/DSLBD Eventbrite. And you could find this and other workshops you can sign up for. So a quick overview of DC Kiva Hub at DSLBD. Now, Kiva is an international organization. It's a nonprofit locally in the United States. It's helped over 4 billion businesses get access to funding, and they do so by leveraging individuals to provide $25 or more, and then that's crowdsourced into a loan amount that then you can receive and use and then repay back. So when DSLBD was considering how we can broaden how much access to capital is available to DC businesses and residents exploring entrepreneurship, we looked into the Kiva Hub and we landed on partnering with them. So the hub comprises DSLBD and Kiva, who help coordinate a couple of different groups. You, the borrowers, both businesses as well as residents, other people who would be helping you along the way, agencies like ours, other DC agencies, also trustees who are nonprofits, food accelerators, business incubators who are helping endorse and refer you and build your capacity to prepare your application and repay it when you do get it. And then, of course, the lenders. These would be individuals who would support you, the community lenders, whether it's your friends and family or members of the public in DC and beyond. 1.7 million lenders, individual lenders, come through kiva.org every year. And finally, matching funds, which I'll show you in a moment, but this is on top of your individual lenders. Sometimes organizations, banks will add money to match to your campaign, which makes your campaign reach its goal much faster. The crowdfunding loans on Kiva are loans that range from $1,000 to $15,000. There's 0 fees to apply, as well as to process your loan once you're awarded it. The best terms in the market, if you ask me, is 0% interest, and you have 12 to 36 months to repay. I'll show you how that breaks out in the next slide. It's a super fast process. Just the review time is less than 2 weeks, and the payment is also very fast, 1 to 7 days. It's a great opportunity to build your credit history. Your credit score does not affect your ability to apply for this loan, but you could use this loan to build your credit history or rebuild it if you're trying to come back from a lower score. Often businesses use this as the first rung on the ladder of getting access to capital if you're a startup, but also many use it to pivot their business to a new business model or service. They also use it to grow their existing business. So it's for all stages, and it's open to a wide range of businesses. I'll jump to that just while we're here. It's open to DC residents who are exploring the idea, so you don't even have to have been licensed yet. You can apply for a loan, or you can be established for 1 or more years, licensed and operating. Any revenue or no revenue, any credit score, as I mentioned, and most type of businesses can apply. There are some that are excluded due to federal laws or to Kiva's relationship with PayPal. The PayPal donates the fees to process your loan payment into a bank account of your choice, and as a result, Kiva has to follow PayPal's guidance, which means that we can't have loans going to any businesses that sell weapons. And I'll go through a list of a couple more. Let me see. It's weapons, hemp products, if you have a multi-level marketing, and anything else that might be excluded by the federal government. And if you have any questions about whether your business model is allowable, please email me or reach out to us through the inno.ed booking, and I can walk you through that. You could have past bankruptcy. If you're currently in bankruptcy or foreclosure, you couldn't apply, but once that's resolved, you're eligible to apply. And also, if you've been formally justice exposed, you're welcome to apply. There are a couple of categories that might prevent you if you were convicted for a sex offense, for terrorism, or if you had a violent or financial conviction in the last 5 years, but on the 6th year forward, for those last 2, you'd be able to apply. Jumping back a little bit to the terms, I mentioned there was a range of both the amount of money as well as the period that you have to repay it. So it's anywhere from $1,000 up to $15,000. At the lower level, you'd have about 12 months to 18 months to repay, and then the larger the loan, the more time that you have to repay, up to 36 months. This middle section that talks about private fundraising. Fundraising has 2 parts, private and public. And as you see here, this is the timeline. The private campaigns, when you're actually raising social capital, your friends, your family, you're trying to demonstrate the number of people who would support you for $25 or more. It really doesn't matter how much they give, at least it's $25, it's the number of people. So for example, if you had a lower amount, you'd need to get 5 people, at least 5 people at $1,000. You need to get 5 people to contribute $25 or more. And then if you are at the higher end of your loan amount, you'd have to get closer to 20 people to contribute in that first private campaign period. Once you pass that first 15 days of the private period, if you get those people, your 5 or your 20, then you move into the public campaign, and that's when it's open to the 1.7 million people. And that's when you are looking for money. You want to make sure that you raise enough money. If you were offered $1,000, you want to make sure that you've raised the full 1,000, or if it's 15,000, the full 15,000. And when you do, you move to the award period, which is very fast, usually a day Sometimes as little as a day, the money will be received in your bank account. And then they have built in Kiva a grace period to repay. Usually we start repaying immediately upon receipt of the loan. But now because of COVID, they've extended that. So depending on the size of your loan, you may have between 1 and 6 months before you have to start repaying. The whole process takes about 60 days or less. We had a borrower who presented last week, who the whole thing happened for her in a week. She went private on Monday. She's applied and then she was approved. And then her campaign, the private campaign was a day, the public campaign was a day. She received her money in a day and had it by Friday and bought her items on Saturday and was opening her business on Sunday. So it can be very fast. This front period, the prep time and the review period does vary. You're right now probably in the prep time. It depends on how much time you need to prepare your application. We'll talk about all the ways DSLBD and the DC Kiva Hub partners can help you. And then the review period. If you're interested in getting more information about the whole process, we do have an upcoming general borrowers information session where we go through step by step. That's on June the 7th at 3 p.m. So please sign up for that and we can go into detail there. And here's where I mentioned some of the support that's available to you. Workshops like this, as well as one-on-one time with myself, with the Inno.ed team or Kiva trustees. You can reach out to us at inno.ed@dc.gov or in our booking link, and we can help you connect with myself or a trustee. And then we have more and more on-demand videos that will help you through our DSLBD video site. And finally, Kiva has great information as well. So these is resources that you can use to get ready and both to apply as well as to go through your private and public campaign and finally to repay at the end. So now we're going to dive into funding pitches, the crux of today's presentation, both Kiva's online pitch and then other pitches. So just to give you an idea, this is what Kiva's online pitches look like. When lenders come to the landing page, what I call a gallery of borrowers, they'll see many borrowers there and they'll have ways here in the upper right to filter. And part of their pitch for each borrower has 4 parts: the photo, the personal story that's about you individually. If you see here, they speak more about the people, Aaron and Lee, and not the name of their business. So it's really about the money's for the business, but the pitch is from you as a person. So your personal story, your business description, and then your loan use. And part of the reason that we have the workshops and we'll do each part of these is we really want you to have a high quality, complete application. It's one thing if it has the general answers, we want it to be very compelling. We want you to have a successful campaign. So we're here to help you do that, to make it a compelling case and also complete, so we don't have to return it back to you and ask you to complete a missing part. If you haven't already attended the photo session, I encourage you to attend that, because that, next to the loan use, I think is like the #1 thing. And we'll explain a little bit more why that is in a moment. And here we are. So it's the #1 thing because as you see, when a borrower or lender comes in, this is what they see. And it's literally a field of borrowers and they're having to choose between this person here and this person here. So the photo and your loan use statement are the 2 things they see and maybe the 2 reasons why they click through to lend or why maybe they skip to the next person. So today we'll be focusing on the loan use statement and how it rolls up to that. Once people do click through, these are some of the details that they'll see. And I'll give you another example related to loan use in a moment. So we'll be focusing on this today. And again, check out our companion workshops that are coming up on photo and other aspects of your pitch. So all the prep that you did for these items, your photo, your personal story, your business description, your loan use, those are great for Kiva, but they're also great for other purposes. For elevator pitches, that's when you're doing something in person, usually like 1 to 5 minutes max. Pitch competitions where you apply, and if you're selected, you get to pitch and see if you can usually get money. Sometimes you get assistance, but often it's for money. Information also be used for grant applications, loan applications, investor pitches. Given the pace we're going on the presentation, I won't stop to ask for other ways that you can, but there are many other ways that you can repurpose your Kiva online pitch to help you either get money or promote your business. So now we're going to go into the first of three things for the loan use. This is the ask, itemizing how much you want to ask. And we'll be looking at how to itemize your expenses, and also what expenses are allowed and how to find other sources of funding. Part of the equation is to figure out generally what expenses you need and then start to narrow down to which ones you're going to use for Kiva on your Kiva loan pitch. You do want at the beginning when you're going big to consider all your expenses, not just Kiva and not just what might be appealing. If you need to buy something, an operational item, like you need to buy new software to improve your accounting because you're not able to keep up on your contracts, that may not sound exciting, but if that's what you need, put it on your big list of all expenses, and then you can start to narrow down to it. The next thing to kind of narrow down which of your expenses you want to use for Kiva is which one of them will impact revenue. The truth is, I think all of them could, and that's something I could help you with. If you do have something like software for accounting, I can help you explain through your Kiva pitch how that might be a compelling case to fund that. But the key thing here is to ask why. Why would this money help change your sales? Why would it help you impact your revenue? Which expenses that you're choosing could have that type of impact? That's your why. And now the next thing, looking to see what expenses are not covered. Say you've narrowed down that you do want to do the accounting software. Can you get that covered elsewhere? And I won't go too much into this now, but just start to think about, is there an alternate source to pay for it for two reasons? One, you may ask for an amount of money that's not fully covered by Kiva, or two, you may need the accounting software plus one or two more things as a package to get to your why, to get to that increased revenue. And Kiva may help you with part of it, but you may want to find other sources, grants, other ways to cover the other. So feel free to reach out and ask me about your backup plan if you don't get fully funded by Kiva, and also how to diversify your portfolio of the funds you're pulling in. That's the loan we call stacking your financing. Feel free to reach out to me and I'd be happy to have that conversation. And also the Untitled team can speak with you as well. So you've looked at your big expenses, you've narrowed down which ones have a direct impact on revenue, you've identified ones that may not be covered elsewhere, and that would become your list of items that you may want to ask for your Kiva loan. That's kind of a rough calculation on how to get there. Each person's business and their business loan ask will be different, but that's kind of a general way to narrow down. If you haven't created a list of your expenses, or you're wondering, do you have a full list of the expenses? Feel free to check out the dcbusinesstoolkit.com. I dropped in some new resources there. All you have to do is go to this link and search the keyword field for calculate expenses, and you'll see some great interactive tools that as you plug in information, it'll help you figure out what expenses might be relevant for your particular business. So once you've itemized your expenses, this is how, when you pick the ones that you are going to use, this is how they'll appear in your application, and also to Kiva and to me when I'm reviewing it. You'll just list the items, not a long description, but just something specific. I wouldn't just say web. I would say what are you doing with the web, or not just equipment. I would say if it's specifically a vacuum. And then you put the cost, and then you get to the total, and this would be the amount that you're asking for from Kiva. You'll also be asked to generally categorize that. So in this case, which was marketing related, website design, a logo, also equipment and employment. Oh, I should have checked this as well, but these first three would be checked to indicate what it could be used for. There are some things that you cannot use Kiva for. The list is fairly short though. Kiva is pretty open to what they will allow you to use your funds for, including licensing if you're just getting started. So the fees you may pay DCRA to get started, those are allowed. Payroll, going forward, rent going forward. I keep saying the word forward because they don't pay for refinancing debt. So if you're owing rent, you couldn't ask for that, but you could use the money for rent moving forward. They also don't allow their loan funds to be used for purchasing stock or equity or any non-business purpose. Say you need to improve your fleet of cars, your transportation business, that's Kiva loan permitted. But if it's your personal car that you're using to get to meetings, maybe not. So if you have any questions of what you're asking to use the loan for, you want to confirm if it's allowed, feel free to reach out to me. And if I don't know, I'll reach out to Kiva just so that you have a good answer before you go into your application. before you submit your application, excuse me. And you definitely can't use it for a loan to yourself. And also any of the items that are related to the excluded types of businesses like weapons, hemp products, you couldn't use it for that as well. I'm going to pause there before we jump on loan purpose and see if we had any questions around itemizing your expenses or what your Kiva loan funds could be used for. You could drop it in the chat or unmute yourself. We're still kind of a small group. I think we could probably pause as we go.
Yes,
I'm looking to
this is
see.
Nathan.
Hey, Nathan.
Thank you for the very valuable information. I have several questions, but the one question is, if you're approved for one loan from Kiva, say like if you wanted to get some vans, but you needed another loan to get, supplies and everything like that, the equipment you need for like graffiti removal from contracts in the District of Columbia, or to help pay salaries for people like coming out of justice involved people like from Project Empowerment, and you wanted to get started like that. Is it possible, or you can only get one loan at a time?
You can get, so all those things you described could be funded, but you can only get for one loan at a time. But once you repay that loan in full, you can go for another loan. So you might want to schedule time with myself or the Internet Ed team so we can walk through all that you're trying to do. We might suggest staging things
Right.
depending on what you minimally need to get started. And then as you get your Kiva loan, that might enable you to make some revenue and then do the next thing and the next thing. Staging is one thing, or if you need to do all those things at the same time, see what Kiva will cover, and then we could talk about what other sources of funds could cover those expenses as well. But you can only have one Kiva loan at a time.
And just one more quick question.
Sure.
I know that before the pandemic hit, that your organization was sponsoring classes in the building, right? So question is, when the city opens back up permanently, I think then in June, will you be offering these classes in person?
That's a great
Yeah.
question. We're exploring that right now. We haven't gotten an answer yet. But be sure when you do sign up for classes, if it is something that's in person or a hybrid, some people could be online, some could be in person. We'll be very clear to say that in each event description. That way you'll know whether it's in person. I have a feeling it might be a while before it's only in person, but we might start having hybrids in the near future, but I'm not sure if it will be as soon as June.
Right, and as I stated before, I'm with the We Aspire, so I definitely want to speak to you about bringing your how you say accessing your services while I'm in that program, because I'm trying to
Oh,
get
sure.
everything that I can for as far as using everything that's resources that I need
Absolutely.
that you offer.
And just
So I can,
for others who may not know, DSLBD, the Internet Ed team, runs a program called We Aspire. It meets twice a week for formerly justice exposed residents and businesses who are either starting their business or they're expanding their current business. So definitely, Nathan, Caroline will talk with you about some special times just for We Aspire class attendees. But anyone here on the call, you feel free to sign up to meet either with myself or Internet Ed team. I'm gonna quickly look to see. I don't think there are any other questions. So I'm gonna keep on moving, looking at the time. So the next part, we talked about itemizing your expenses, and now you've kind of narrowed down what you want to use the Kiva loan for. Now you need to convey that in two ways, through a narrative and a loan impact statement or a tagline. So this first part is the narrative, the description. And this is actually from another author, which have a different spin on the why. But here's also what lenders are looking for, like, why do you need my money? And not why and skeptical, but more like why, like they want to support you. Give them a reason to support you. They're excited. They're on the site wanting to spend money to help small and local businesses. Your job is to make them feel excited that you're the one to help. So we're going to talk a little bit about now the narrative description. I suggest doing this first before the tagline, because once you've narrowed this down, then you can cherry pick the highlights of that narrative description and put that into your shorter tagline. So we're going to use Karen here. She's a cleaning business out of, I think, Pittsburgh. And we're going to use her as an example using her loans, purpose of loan statement. So here, as you see, this is how it will appear on Kiva's website. You can click through, you and the lenders can click through to see her personal story up top. The loan is special because that's actually established by Kiva. They will write that for you. But then the loan purpose statement is what Karen wrote for herself. And here it is again, a little bit more detail. We're going to hang here for a moment, give you some time to read this, and be thinking about as you're reading it, what is she buying? How will she use the loan funds? And why will these loan funds impact her revenue? And that's what Kiva is looking for. How will their funds be used to move the needle forward for your business as far as revenue goes? So we'll pause here for a couple of minutes or a minute or two, and then we'll walk through and see if you have the right answers or some answers, and you'll feel free to put them in the chat as well as you're reading this. The what, the how, and the why. And just so you know, this is not her full statement. I paraphrased it for space and for time, but there'll be a link in the chat where you can see her full statement in a few minutes. So I'm going to advance to the next screen, but fear not, the statement will still be there. I've highlighted some of the what, how, and why of her statement. So the orange is the what and the how. She's going to be using the funds for marketing, for hiring, and for equipment, in this case, vacuums. And the marketing includes a campaign that has a website. And then she goes into more detail for the why. She's actually expanding into a new field. So this is actually her third, to your point, Nathan, this is Karen's third Kiva loan. She gets one, she repays it. She got one to start it, and then she got one to expand a little bit. And now she's gotten a third one after she repaid the second one to expand into construction. But that means that she needs to have different equipment to keep up with that type of work. So she goes into the why of both expanding. She wants to have a clean and safe space when she's done with it, and also to be more efficient and help her workers. Apparently the vacuums that they need, they don't have, and be more fatiguing on the workers to use the ones that they have. And then she wants to grow her staff. So she's answering both the what she wants to buy as well as the why and how it will impact. It will help her get access to a construction market that she currently is not serving and to keep up with demands. So when you're writing your loan use statement, don't be overwhelmed with getting it all perfect. Maybe write out like the what and why. One question to ask yourself is, if I weren't able to buy this, if I wasn't getting funded for this, how would my business be impacted? And then you could translate that into sharing into your written statement. My business will benefit from this particular item or service that you're buying through the Kiva loan, and explain how. So that's one way to back into it, kind of what would happen if you didn't have this. And then that's what you share with the lender so they can feel the need for you to have that item. So we talked about the narrative part, and now this is when you're kind of whittling it down to the impact statement. And the key here is to summarize, is you will be limited on characters. I forgot the number of characters, but there is a limit. But more importantly, you don't want to go too long for the lenders because they're only going to read so much. You want to be very specific because you have to distinguish yourself from other people on the gallery page, and you want to inspire people. And if you can, convey the social impact, which all sounds like a lot to squeeze into a very short phrase. But I'll break down a little bit, and you'll see that you can pick and choose what you put into there. And I can also help you if you're struggling what to emphasize in your statement. We can have a consultation. I can give you some recommendations for you to consider. So as I mentioned, your picking a very limited amount of words, and these are kind of the max. Sometimes you'll see if you look at the gallery of borrowers, little dot, dot, dot for a continued statement. You could possibly have a longer statement, but the truth is people are only going to be able to see this much on the gallery page. So you want to be sure to keep it short, summarize it, and be specific. So this, Aaron and Lee, who have two girls with curls, I think is the business out in Ohio. They were very specific. It's for a woman-owned business. They're recovering from COVID challenges, and they're redeveloping and expanding their line. That was a very tight tagline. They captured the specificity, the summary. It was inspirational. They're recovering from COVID. And this is a salsa maker who is much more to the point, but it's very clear what the money will be used for. It's in Michigan. The owner is Mexican, or it's a Mexican-inspired salsa company. And it's for equipment, and their why is we want to be more efficient. So it is possible to get all those points, the summarize, specify, inspire, and social impact all in one. Just to show you again, more likely than not, the view won't be this. Your lenders will be looking at a gallery of at least 12 profiles at a time. So this is kind of your competition. So you want to be able to stand out in the crowd. Going back to Karen's example again, this is what she landed on with her marketing, which included the web design, the hiring of additional staff, and the buying of the equipment she needs to expand to the construction field. She landed on a loan help, or will help her, in this case she's already funded, but a loan helps my cleaning company buy more equipment and access capital so they can continue to expand. So here are some things are specifically the equipment. She didn't talk about staffing, and that's okay. But she said to continue to expand, which tells me that she's already in business. She's looking to push out the boundaries and go even further. She might have been able to add specifically into construction, but she also might have chosen just to keep it general. And that's just showing you how she went from the larger description down to her shorter description. So when you're looking at the specify, you can talk about who you are, you're a woman-owned business, or maybe where your business is. I'm a Petworth startup. And as you can see here, they convey both where they are, Petworth, and where they're at stage-wise startup. You can convey what you'll buy, what will be bought. Are you starting and getting a license? Are you growing into a market? Are you testing and trying? And then your just desired outcome. Are you opening, growing, pivoting? You don't have to put all three, it could just be one. But I would say at least have one of these in there. For inspire, each statement will be different, but anything that you can convey your passion and enthusiasm, a lot of that comes across in your personal story, your business description, which we covered on another webinar that's available in DSLPD's YouTube channel. But you want to try to tie that together if you can into the impact statement. And also what's at stake. We spoke about earlier, what would happen if you don't get the funds? How will this affect your ability to open or grow your business and to get revenue? In this case, you need this equipment in order to get to a new type of contract. And then the reason for the lender to be part of it, people like to be part of a success story. So your money will be used to help me get the equipment I need to get into a contract. Your money will help a woman-owned business start the first deli in Manor Park. Let people know that, oh, they're part of a bigger crowd. It's a crowdfunding platform. So to be part of like a bigger crowd and know how their small amount, even if it's $25, how that helps with a bigger picture. And then the social impact, this might feel trickier, but I have a feeling that you're all doing something that can impact either the economy, the environment, or our general DC community. So think about that. What of your business in general helps with the community, or what specifically of your loan use will be helping the community? Are you hiring someone? Are you, this person who had the vacuum, Karen, she bought HEPA filters, which help with air quality. That's an environmental impact. I'm sorry, we cut this off here, but it says underserved or underserved markets. Are you bringing something? I know Manor Park has food, but this will be the first sit-down deli in Manor Park. So helping the quality of life of that particular neighborhood. So this is something that you could tweak towards the end, focus on your general loan use statement, that narrative, narrow down to the tagline, and then we can start to tweak the social impact part. And again, feel free, we can have a conversation to help you kind of drill down what the social impact of your business and your loan ask may be. Here's an example that Kiva often shares, how they had a makeover for a loan use statement. It started off as a loan of $10,000 helps us, who's us, with the financial hurdles that stand in our way of opening our restaurant. Hurdles, it does sound scary. You want to sometimes convey a challenge, but you don't want it to sound like it's um, unsolvable, or may not be a barrier that can be fixed by just $10,000. So they got us to be more specific in the next statement that they're a Bay Area native, and they're putting the final touches, not hurdles, but the final things, like they're just this close. They're the final touches on their restaurant to open the doors into the community. So that's kind of like an urgency, like we're just close. If you just give me $25 and have your friends do the same, we can make this happen. So a sense of urgency is often something nice to kind of imply, if not outrightly state. So I think we have time. Yes, we have some time to play the Who Got Funded game. This is the interactive part. Now the loan use statement and the tagline that we'll be doing, the Who Got Funded game, is just a part of multiple things they're looking at. But you saw that the photo in this tagline really might be the deal breaker, whether someone clicks through to lend. So let's look at a couple of taglines and then take a moment, read them, and then think about which one got funded. And you can put your answers in the chat. So we have Dina, option A, who's asking for a loan of $10,000 to help finish her kitchen. And we have Luce, who's asking for a loan for new merchandise, and she's interested in buying 2 pallets of clothes. Who got funded, A or B? I'm looking in the chat to see. We have a B. Feel free to drop your answers in the chat. If not, Nathan will be speaking for the group. And B, it's Luce who got it. I think they both have great pictures, but Luce was very specific, and hers actually, her actual statement did go on to another sentence that wasn't captured on the homepage, the gallery of borrowers. But I can clearly say that it's new merchandise. I actually can see the merchandise. Sometimes it's helpful to show the very thing you're trying to buy, which might not make sense. Like, why am I going to show the vacuum? If I'm asking for money for a vacuum, why would I show the vacuum? But people like to see like the reality, the tangible. I'm buying this vacuum. I need your help to buy this vacuum. And so that was helpful for Luz. I liked actually Dina's because she's in a home kitchen, where it appears to me to be a home kitchen. So it tells me she needs money to make that, to get into a commercial kitchen. But she did not get funded. Let's do one more. We have like a minute for one more. We'll do this a little bit faster. This is Eric, Eric, who wants a loan for $10,000 to acquire equipment, inventory renovations, and advertise. And Rodney, $8,500 to strengthen cash flow and provide a cushion. Who do you think got funded, A or B? We have one answer for A. Would anyone else like to vote by chat? We have an answer for B. Okay, voting is closed, and the answer is, drum roll, A. Eric got funded. It's hard to say just from looking at their both of their campaigns, the details behind their campaign, but I have a feeling that Rodney's may not have been so compelling. It's actually smart, you know, you do want to have a cushion, but it wasn't very specific. It also wasn't anything that I think people could latch onto. It wasn't very inspirational. And it also, I just think maybe he could have gone a little bit deeper, as more specificity and engaging in the social enterprise part in his statement. It's hard to fit a lot into a very short phrase. And you should know that there are many reasons why people click through, but having a strong loan use tagline is one of them. So we can help you with that. Quickly, just to wrap up on the presentation itself before we jump into Q&A, you should know that, as I mentioned, this is part of a couple of different aspects of your pitch. Just to highlight that when you're writing your loan purpose statement, that's the narrative statement, and then the tagline that we just spoke about, make sure you align what you'll say you're going to buy and the why in each, which sounds kind of straightforward. But I have read some statements where they're talking about in the narrative purpose statement about equipment and marketing, and then in the tagline they're mentioning we're going to hire people, which is fine, but I was like, wait, where did that come from? So it's helpful to know that, okay, be sure that you're mentioning the same thing in the purpose statement that you highlight in your tagline. They should all be aligned. Also, your business statement, that's a great opportunity to kind of key up to your loan use. You can be talking in your business, what you've done so far, where you're headed, the trajectory, and only if you had X number of dollars could you get to that next point. So your business statement can kind of be the cue to punt up to the loan use statement. And they do sit right above and below each other. People will read through your business statement and then right into your loan use statement. So that could be the precursor to why you need the money, is kind of embedded in your business description at the end. And then finally, your photo, if possible, like we saw with the person who is selling the clothing, if possible, have a picture of what you're buying. That might get a little more dicey, especially if you're a service business, because it's hard to kind of picture or demonstrate a website design business. But we can have a conversation and kind of brainstorm. And I'll show in a moment, I think in the next slide, where you can get some inspiration, particularly if you're a service business. Look at other businesses who are pitching on Kiva like yours to get some inspiration on how you can get your photo to align with your loan use pitch. Here we go, the inspiration. So I highly recommend almost like surfing, checking out prospective people to support is a way that you can also check out to see how you might present your business online. So if you go to kiva.org, you'll come to Lend, click Lend, and you can narrow down to the US or just look at their full portfolio. You should know that the US actually represents only 10% of Kiva's portfolio of borrowers. Most of them are abroad. They've been working abroad since 2005. So feel free to look at all of them, not just the US ones. You can filter down and start to find ones that might be closer to your type of business. In the upper right corner, you'll see a filter button on the kiva.org Lend page, and then you can narrow down by type of borrower. Probably sector might be one you get look at a lot to find ones that are like yours, to start seeing the language that they use. I think there's also further down, this is not the full list of filter criteria. You can filter for how they're going to use the funds. So if you are asking for something that seems not as exciting like accounting software, see if someone else has asked for software and see how they phrased it. You don't ever want to lift what they're saying, but it would be helpful after you do your first draft to try to write your own statement and tagline, and then explore to see how a similar business did it, or how someone asking for a similar product or service did it. And then you might be able to tweak yours based on their example. You could also, as I mentioned, reach out to DC at local, that kiva.org also goes to me, as well as inno.ed@dc.gov. You can also meet one-on-one for 20-minute consultation sessions through our inno_booking website. And as I mentioned, Kiva's guides are great. Feel free to go online and check those out as well. In addition to Kiva, in the DC Kiva Hub at DSLBD has a ton of services and products to help you, all free. Our Aaron.ed team has Made in DC at the top of the meeting. If you missed, Shannon Taylor is helping me out today with the chat and with links. She manages our Made in DC program. So if you're a maker, if you make a product here in the district, definitely check out our Made in DC program. We Aspire, Nathan, who's a participant on the line here, he's with our We Aspire program for formerly justice exposed participants. Our DCBusinessToolkit.com, as I mentioned, I put some information in there about calculating your expenses, but it has a wealth of information from DSLBD and 150 other service providers in the district. Most of them are free, if not all of them are free. The resources there, including our citywide calendar for businesses. And we have many other programs, including our Certified Business Enterprise program, which is certified at your own local business, as well as small and other designations. Our DC Main Streets program, if you're exploring funding, you give us a call. We'll ask you if where you're located, because you may be at DC Main Street. In addition to providing technical assistance, they often provide financial assistance. And finally, if you're pursuing contracts either with the local government, DC government, or the federal government, you definitely have to sign up to be our DCPTAC client. That's DC Procurement Technical Assistance Center. They have extensive information about contracting, how to find contracts, how to bid on contracts. They have a team as well as great classes that you should check out. So those are some of the free services available through DSLBD. Feel free to check out the rest at dslbd.dc.gov. And then finally, you can start your application anytime. You don't have to have all the answers completed. You can always save the application and come back to complete it later. It might help you to see kind of like the big picture. We are having a session, I believe, on June 14th to walk line by line through the application, but feel free to go to kiva.org/borrow to get started with that. Again, next week on Wednesday, not Monday, we'll be doing a similar deep dive, this time into the other part of the two-part of what I think is probably the most important part of your pitch, the photos, excuse me. And then the following week, we'll be having our general information session. This happens monthly. It's also recordings available in our YouTube if you want to come to a live event, June 7th. And then that'll be followed by that line by line exploration of the Kiva loan application. All of our events are recorded, so if for some reason you should miss one of these, feel free to check us out on our YouTube channel. You'll be able to look at it there. Oh, I made it with a minute to spare, so I'm sorry. I thought we might have 15 minutes for questions, and we still do. I'll be hanging here. But I'd like to open up for questions if you haven't asked already. Shannon, are there any questions that came through the chat during the session that were already asked?
No, I haven't seen any questions in the chat as of now.
Okay, and I'm trying to see if we have any phone users. If you're on the phone, I don't know what the unmute code is, but feel free to email the question to Internet Shannon's checking. Thanks, Shannon. Or if you're able to unmute yourself, please do so now and ask any questions. No question is too small.
But this, Nathan, I like to wait because I have several questions. I'd like to wait to see if anyone else has any
Oh,
questions.
sure. Oh, thanks, Nathan. Okay. Would you like to ask one now? And then we can see if others want to jump in before you ask the rest?
Yes, Camille. Well, as again, a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Very informative, full of information, useful information.
Great.
And I think it's right up. I think it's right what I need.
Okay, excellent.
First of all, what's most important is that when would this presentation be available for information purposes? Because I like to review it and use that as a guide. So when I start filling out the application.
Sure. And that's what I recommend. Even if you're starting an application, definitely keep these in your back pocket to use later. I'll be sending out the slides tomorrow. If I can get the recording formatted, I'll send that as well. If not, I'll send the link to the recording later on in the week. But this week we'll have both the slides as an attachment and a link to the recording.
Okay, so I will wait on that
Okay.
patiently, and I get started on that. Does anyone else have a question? I got a couple more questions, but I'd like someone
Thanks
else to
for
have a
that.
question.
Okay, we'll pause here. Does anyone else have a question about either Kiva in general, the hub, or specifically the topic about loan use statements and taglines? Okay, Nathan, you're up.
Okay, so the second thing is that I'm familiar with the Biz Cap program under Mr. Aaron Fenwick at DSLBD. I mean, at Disby.
Mm-hmm.
And I took several seminars. I called one of the lenders, and they say that they only deal with people that's in business before they give them a loan to match the 50% that Disby is given for the Biz Cap program. So I'm familiar with that. So can I use this as startup?
Absolutely, yes. So,
Right.
yes, Kiva loans can be used at any stage. You don't need any revenue, or you don't need to be licensed and operating yet. So this Kiva is for all stages. You can be established and licensed, but you don't have to be.
That's great because that's what I need. Also, now say for instance, I have everything prepared. Say if I'm going after removing graffiti in a city, or say if I'm going after one of the DC Clean Team contracts, and I got everything ready, my prices for my tools, my vehicles, and the payment for the employees, so forth and so on. And it comes out and I apply for that contract, but they say they only have 30 days to award a contract winner. You understand what I'm saying? So if I'm awarded that contract, I understand you said you had a couple of weeks, what, 2 to 60 days before you can be awarded uh, uh, that contract. So if I win the loan, if I win a contract, how fast can I get that money to get the equipment that I need through what you have here, your application process, so that I can get my business on the road?
Right. So
I
the
hope I
Kiva
was
process,
clear.
yeah, and you were, and that's a contract bridge financing that you need the contract to get the revenue to repay the loan, but you need the loan to get to the contract.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and that's something that's very common. And then it sounds like your bidding you think is a 30 days. Though some
Right.
bids are very short, like maybe they're only out there for a couple of days, and their
Right.
turnaround is also super fast. So it varies greatly. Some have a much longer leash as far as the time to bid, and once you're awarded, the time to get started. Some don't, but you do want to gauge that. I'm rolling back now to the timeline. This might help
Okay.
walk you through it. So this part, from the campaign to
Right.
the deposit of your funds is about, it could be up to 45 days. So the private campaign, once it goes out to your friends and family, we have to raise the people, like 5 people, 20 people, that's up to 15 days. But if you had your people lined up, like everyone's lined up, you need 5 people, you have 10 people in queue, you give them your link, that could happen on the same day. Once you hit those 5 people, whatever your particular number is, you're done. So that could happen in a day. And then you do have up to 30 days to do the public campaign. That's to raise the full amount of money. But again, you could have that happen faster in 2 ways. You have a lot of efforts to engage the community to support you. Perhaps it's people in your neighborhood, people through the Main Street program. If you're located in the Main Street, DSLPD could help get the word out as well. If you're part of an association, a landscapers association, let them know. You can help encourage traffic to come and support you. Another way that could help speed up the time to reach that public campaign goal is if there's matching funds, which you can't control, but it works out really well when it is in place. So sometimes there's an organization like Bank of America, List DC, eBay, who are providing matching funds. So if you're in a public campaign, for every $1 someone in the individual contributes, it'll be matched with another dollar. eBay had a campaign that ended a couple of weeks ago. It was a triple match. For every $1, eBay gave $3. Sometimes those matching funds are very specific. Like Bank of America is doing one just for women-owned businesses nationwide. Some are just open. I think eBay's was open. So you can't control that, but that might help you. For your
Right.
purpose of trying to bridge that contract, I would say make sure that you've finished. Of course, you've applied, it's been reviewed, and then have your people geared up so that you can knock out your private campaign in a day, and then hustle, hustle, hustle with help from the trustees and DSLBD and other people in the community to wrap up your public campaign.
Right.
Because the payment part happens very quickly. I gave the example of Annette, who this whole thing from crowdfunding through receipt happened in 7 days, actually less than that, 5 days. So I wouldn't count on that. When you get ready for that time, we should definitely speak, just so I can kind of help you gauge
Right.
whether it's realistic or not. I hope
Yes,
that
ma'am.
answered your
Thank you.
question. It took me a while to
Yes,
get
ma'am.
there. I hope
Yeah,
that was
it
helpful.
definitely answered
Good,
the
good.
question.
Okay.
But that's the path that I see that I have to take, in order to get started.
And this is something even before you apply for your loans, and anyone on the call, if you don't have social medias, there's classes online through DSLB and other sources. You can check out the business toolkit to find them, to help you use that. Social media is not required, but it sure helps, especially with the public campaign. It's kind of like a yin and a yang, that you could use social media to help increase your crowdfunding audience to support you, but also in exposing yourself to crowdfunding, you'll increase your social media and people who might become prospective clients. Kiva is very helpful with branding and expanding your network. So I would recommend for everybody, if you haven't already, set up a social media account. It depends on the type of business you have. Like Instagram is great. if you have a product, and Twitter might be better for other reasons, but start getting yourself out there on social media. I'm trying to see if anyone else. Okay. Thanks, Pat. Nathan, anyone else have questions, including Nathan? Did you have another question?
Well, no, I basically, you did wonderful. The presentation was very informative, and I learned a lot from it. Will we be required to use PowerPoint? Would that
Oh,
be helpful
is it? Oh, you mean when I send the slides, will you need PowerPoint?
when we do the presentation?
Okay. Let me scroll back to an example. So actually your presentation, let me find two things that might help with that answer.
Or this just an
Fine,
online
sort of.
presentation?
So your
Just right here.
presentation will be when you fill out your online application, and this is part of it, but you'll be filling out a field that kind of look like this. So as you
Mhm.
fill out a field, you'll drop the text for your loan purpose statement. You'll drop the little phrase for your loan impact statement, and then that Kiva will take care of making that into this format
Okay.
when the time comes. So you don't need any particular software. You need a browser, internet access to add the content. If someone has trouble accessing the internet, you can reach out to us, and we or another partner can help you with that. But yeah, you don't have to have a separate software for that. You do need to have a browser as well to start a PayPal account that you'll use to get your money and also to repay the loan. Sometimes it's easier to do it with a PayPal app, but you don't have to have that app to do it. You could use the browser version only.
Okay. Okay, that's great.
Okay.
Right.
Well, if there isn't any other questions now, I do encourage you to you're welcome to reach back out to us by email or by our booking site with any questions they may have afterwards. I'll send the slides out with the recording hopefully tomorrow, if not later this week, and you're welcome to reply back to that if you had any questions. I'm glad that y'all were able to come. I hope you'll attend other workshops to help you strengthen your Kiva loan application,
Mhm.
and that you'll consider using Kiva to start, expand, or pivot your business. I hope you all have a great afternoon. Take care.
You too. Thank you, Camille.
Thank you, Nathan. Thanks everybody for joining, and thanks Shannon for your assistance.
You're welcome. Thanks. Have a
Thanks.
good day, everyone.
You too.